All right, right now you're looking at what I call the lead generation matrix. This is a matrix that I walk people through when I work with them from a coaching perspective. And so I want to walk you through this, and then we're going to get into the pros and cons to all 5 models, because I think no longer is it a question of, hey, what is right, what is wrong, what is better, what is worse. There are pros and cons to each. So on the matrix right now, on the left-hand side of the matrix, you've got time leverage. On the bottom, you have the conversion timeline. How long does it take to get results? And then going up on the right-hand side, you have cost. So as you can see on screen, as things progress, so unpaid outbound is one of the lead generation methods that we'll unpack on today's video. It has very low time leverage, high conversion, and low cost. And we'll talk about that in just a second. So meaning you can get results faster. Then as we move up the matrix, referral partners, the time leverage is still fairly low, but it's starting to raise up, getting more and more leverage. It takes a little bit longer to get results, and maybe there's a little bit of cost involved. Then you have unpaid inbound, paid outbound, and then at the very top, which is paid inbound. And we're going to talk about all these in just a second. So you can screenshot this if you want, so that as we talk through this, you can go back and say, okay, it makes a lot more sense now. So this whole conversation starts with time versus money versus results. How much time is it going to take me? Am I trading that time to get the results that I want? How much money will this cost me? So what is the level of investment versus the margin or versus the return I get on that money? And then lastly, how long is it taking to get results? These are the 3 things that we need to look at. So let's start with unpaid outbound. So to give you some examples, this might be cold calling homeowners direct. This might be door knocking homeowners direct. This might be sending Instagram messages or Facebook messages directly to a homeowner. Maybe it's a for sale by owner. Maybe it's an expired listing. This is you going directly after the homeowner. There is no lead conversion mechanism in between you and the direct consumer. Now, the pros of this are, of course, it's very, very low cost. And this video is specifically for real estate agent, but it can apply to anybody in sales. But when you have a direct outbound approach, the cost to do so is very, very minimal. Now, I get people all the time when they say, well, you still have to buy the data. You still have to maybe get a dialer, right? But we're talking about $100 or $200 or $300 a month versus some of the other things that are a lot more expensive. So you can get systems out there like Mojo or Vulcan 7 or the RedX as an example to buy your data, to have them store and organize that data, and also give you some type of mechanism to reach out to homeowners directly. So the pros of it is very, very low cost. The next pro is that it's probably the quickest way to get results for a lot of different reasons, but this allows you to, like I said before, be in direct conversations with your end user. In this case, it's homeowners who may be looking to list their property. So you don't really have to wait. You can go directly to the source of the people, have direct conversations, get direct feedback in real time. It is the absolute fastest way to get new clients as a real estate agent. It's also the simplest way. There's not a lot of nuance to it. There's not a lot of context or minutia that's involved with you picking up the phone or going to knock on someone's door or sending them a message on Instagram. It's pretty simple. When we look at the cons, we have to look into and take into consideration a couple things. Number one is it's very, very time intensive. So this probably has the lowest leverage when it comes to your time. This is a behavior or an activity that you're trading time for dollars. Because if you're not going to spend a lot of money and you want something that has the lowest cost with the highest results, the quickest, this is simply it. But it is going to take you a lot of your time to make this work for you. The other con is, although simple, it is very difficult. Simple, not easy. It is very, very, very difficult, to be fair. This requires all 3 components of what I call the success triangle: mindset, skill set, and behaviors. It takes all 3 to make this thing work. The mindset to sit down every day to do a very, very difficult thing is for most something that they just can't do on any type of consistent schedule or a consistent basis. The next thing, it requires really good sales skills. Like you can't just download a script, read the script to the prospect and expect good things to happen. It's going to require you to have a high level of sales skills to make this approach work. And then lastly, your behavior. Can you be consistent? Can you do this every single day, even on the days you don't feel like it? And if we're being honest, that's probably most of the time for most realtors. Can you build that habit? Do you have staying power? Can you avoid distraction? Can you avoid shiny objects? Can you be patient? Can you stick to one thing for any length of time? These are all the character traits it will take for somebody to succeed with unpaid outbound. So it has its advantages, it has its disadvantages. Next, let's talk about referral partners. So here are some examples. You could go out there and start communicating with assisted living sales managers. These are people who work with the elder community or seniors that are looking to transition out of their homes into more of an assisted living. A lot of those folks have to sell their home in order to afford the assisted living. Probate attorneys, right? So most of probate cases have real estate that needs to be sold. In order for that attorney to close out that case, great opportunity for you to build relationships and get referrals. Divorce attorneys, same thing. 80-90% of all divorces have the divorcing couple selling that marital home. So there's a huge need for what we do as real estate agents. Elder care attorneys. So these are the attorneys that are helping the seniors make transitions in their life. Most of them have to sell that home, which is their largest asset that they've had for years and years and years. CPAs, financial planners, insurance agents. These are all examples of people that you can go out there and build relationships with to get inbound referrals. Now, if we look at the pros, again, another strategy that has very, very low cost. Very low cost. However, we'll talk about time, but this has a high return on the time that you spend. So the leverage here starts to increase. What do I mean by that? Well, if you go out there and you build a relationship and you build a referral partnership with a divorce attorney, a probate attorney, 3 CPAs, and 6 insurance agents, well, after you've done that work, all you're then doing is maintaining that relationship for those individuals to have you as an extension of the service they offer to their clients. You can get referrals from them for the rest of your career. So you put in the work once, you maintain the relationship over time, and that could be a source of new business and new clients for you forever. The next pro is it's inbound referral business. Inbound referral business is some of the best business to work with because it comes with this built-in respect or this built-in positioning. When somebody refers somebody else, there's already this built-in expert authority positioning. It has high margins, so very, very profitable business. You don't have to go out there and discount your fee to nothing in order to earn the business. And then once you have some referral partners, it can be very, very consistent. This is what I've told a lot of the realtors that I coach. I have a handful of attorneys that I've worked with for years. They're sending me 3, 4, 5 listings a month. That's one business channel. That's one part of the business. And for most of you, if you had 3, 4, 5, 6 listings a month, that's probably all you would need to exceed the financial goals that you have in this business of real estate sales. So that's one channel of business. Now, the cons of this model is that it's very difficult to get started. It's difficult because you're having to break into these brand new relationships. And for a lot of these people, a lot of them have relationships already. So you've got to break into the relationship. And the other con is that you must have high competency. So if you're going to go after these other business professionals and expect to earn their referrals, that requires that business owner to have a lot of trust in your ability to deliver because they're making a personal recommendation to their client that could come back and backfire if you screw it up. So you have to have high competency, especially if you start to talk about, probate real estate, working with seniors, divorce real estate. These require a whole level of education or nuance to understanding how to serve these clients going through these periods of time. And then the other con is it can take a lot of time because you're working these relationships that sometimes take months, sometimes take years of investment before it starts to return. Unlike unpaid outbound, where you're calling the homeowner directly, you can get a listing today. Well, this takes a little bit more time. Okay, let's talk about the lead generation model number 3, which is unpaid inbound, right? So this is still not a paid strategy, but this is getting prospects to come to you. So getting the phone to ring, which is what I know a lot of you are very interested in. So examples of this would be having a YouTube channel, creating content on YouTube, having people find that content, reaching out to you, having an email newsletter, which has been massively successful for me over the past 17 years. Most real estate agents don't pay as much attention to this as they should, growing their list and then nurturing that list with high value content through email every week. Next could be a podcast. Next could be a social media show that you do on Facebook Live or Instagram Live once a week. You could write a blog. And so those that really understand how to write a blog on a consistent basis, not just one, they know how to generate inbound leads. Now, here are the pros. The pros to this is that it's very highly leveraged, right? You can create a YouTube video one time, and that YouTube video works for you 7 days a week, 365 around the clock. It never calls in sick, it never complains, and it's highly leveraged. You do the work once, and then it works for you forever. It's very, very rewarding. I would say that's another pro to this model, is that the work that you're doing, unlike outbound, where the work that you do is outbound prospecting through that skill, this is you're making highly valuable content that people want to consume. As a result, you start to build credibility. You start to position yourself as an expert in their mind, somebody who they would want to reach out and do business with when it comes time to buy or sell a home. So it's very rewarding. The next pro is when you start to get inbound leads through this methodology, it comes with having high value status from a positioning standpoint automatically. When somebody reaches out to you as a result of consuming your content, they already come to you with you being positioned in their own mind to being credible, to have high value. It's a great, great thing. The other pro is that it has high margins, right? So again, if people are coming to you, you have built-in leverage where you don't have to discount your fee in order to win the business. Now, the downsides or the cons. It takes a long time to see results. You are not going to shoot one YouTube video, make one podcast, write one blog, and that going to be enough business coming in to sustain your lifestyle. It's just not going to happen. It takes a long time, and it requires you to be extremely consistent. This is if you're going to use this lead generation model as part of your new client acquisition system in your business, this is the prospecting. This is the way in which you go out there and generate new clients. And as a result, it's going to require you to be extremely consistent, just like you would have to be with anything else. The next con is, I would say that this is very uncomfortable for a lot of people. Getting behind the camera and hitting record is, and I put a poll on my Instagram a couple weeks ago to verify this. More people are more uncomfortable getting behind this camera and hitting record than they are picking up the phone and calling strangers, based on the poll. Now, you might feel differently, but for a lot of people, they would much rather hide behind the email or the message or the phone, have a conversation with someone, than they would getting vulnerable, putting themselves behind this camera and putting themselves out there into the world to be judged. And then the other con is it's a brand new skill that most people have no experience with. And the reason I say that is this, because most people have a lot of experiences and a lot of different things in life that can come over to real estate sales, but content creation is one of them that most have zero experience with. Shooting a podcast, creating a show, making video content, copywriting. These are all things that you don't use in everyday life. So a lot of people that get into real estate sales have no experience. And if they want to use this as a client acquisition channel, they have to learn a whole new set of skills. All right, so let's move on. Let's talk about paid outbound. All right, so this is the fourth lead generation model that I want to talk about. So paid outbound. Some examples of that would be hiring inside sales agents to make outbound phone calls on your behalf. So instead of you doing the outbound phone calls, you hire an inside sales rep to make those outbound prospecting phone calls on your behalf for you, to go out there and generate leads and generate appointments. Another example would be PPC, or pay per click, where you're paying Facebook or you're paying Google per click to generate a lead for then you to reach out to that lead. Okay, so when I say paid outbound, you're paying to generate an opportunity, and then you have to be the one to reach out bound to initiate the conversation. Next could be like Zillow or Realtor.com leads. Okay, so these are all you buying information, buying data, buying leads in exchange for those leads coming into your world, you having to pick up the phone and reach out to them to initiate conversation. Instead of you going direct, you're buying the data. Now, the pros of this is it's highly leveraged from the standpoint of now you're getting into the world of trading no longer your time for dollars, but your dollars for time. So you're trying to save time by investing money to hopefully generate a lead that might be further down the funnel versus you having to reach out cold with people that might be more top of funnel. So that's one pro. The other pro is that it's very consistent, because now you're paying another person or another company, and their responsibility is to deliver on the money that you're giving them. And so instead of you having to battle yourself every day to make these phone calls or to knock on the doors, you have another mechanism that's generating that, another machine that's generating that on your behalf, which brings in consistent inbound lead flow. Now, the cons or the downsides to that is that it can be very, very expensive to do this, right? So you have to, it's like the chicken or the egg I always talk about. You're either going to have to invest the time or you're going to have to invest the money. You got to decide. This isn't, you're going to decide to invest the money. So it could be very expensive. The other downside or the other con is that it can take a long time to see results. And for most real estate agents, not only is it very expensive, but now you're asking them to invest money month after month after month after month without seeing a result, because it might take 6, 9, 12 months to get this pillar really going. Doesn't make it right or wrong. It's just a downside to it. And for most agents, they can't invest in 6, 9, 12 months of something without getting a return. The last con I would say with this model is that it still requires outbound sales skills. So just because you're investing money, the lead that's being purchased still requires you to do something that most of you are looking to avoid, which is to make the outbound phone call. So it still requires you to have a high competency or a high skill set when it comes to outbound sales. All right, so let's talk about the last pillar of business, or the last lead generation model, which is paid inbound. So some examples of this would be direct mail, radio, events, paid advertising, billboards. Okay, those are all examples of paying money to get the phone to ring, right? So unlike paid outbound, where you're paying to buy a lead and you still have to reach out, this is you're paying money to get somebody to reach out to you. That's the key difference. So the pros of this is it's probably the highest form of leverage. It's the highest form of leverage, meaning you're just directly investing money into getting that phone to ring. So it has high leverage. The other pro I would say is it helps you to build that personal brand, that top of mind awareness in your market or in your community. Now, the downside to this model, and this is why for most agents, they might not ever reach this model in their career, and that's fine if they don't, but it's extremely expensive. So it has the highest leverage and at the same time, the highest cost associated with this. So this is somebody who's already probably reached a high level of success in their business, and now their biggest problem is not having enough time. But they have a lot of money, so they can use that money to find time. Unlike with the unpaid outbound, that agent doesn't have any money, but they have a whole bunch of time, and so therefore they have to use that time to generate the money. This agent's the opposite. So again, the pros: high leverage, high brand. We talked about the cons: highly expensive. The other con is it takes a very long time to get this thing going, get this thing ramped up. For most people, if they talk to anybody about a direct mail campaign or doing a radio campaign or doing any type of paid media, they'll tell you, like, you have to plan on doing this for at least a year before you really start to see that ROI. And so again, it has to be for the right agent in the right time of their business. Otherwise, this just doesn't make a lot of sense. So those are the 5 ways in which to generate business. Again, not right, not wrong. They all just have their ups and downs to them. What I'd like for you guys to do is kind of in the comments section, if you want, to open this conversation up even more to talk about what are your experiences with each one of these models? What do you like better and why? Let's just kind of get that conversation going, because I want to get away from, positioning or making the argument that one is better than the other. And I want to start getting into why one might be better for a certain person based on their current situation, right? And I gave you a couple of examples in today's video, right? You either got a bunch of time and no money, and if that's you and you're the real estate agent that finds yourselves in that situation, well, direct outbound, unpaid outbound is the clear answer for you. If you have a different problem where you have no time, but you've got a lot of money, well, then a different one of these models might work better for you. It just depends on where you're at in your business. So hopefully this was helpful. Let me know. Let's get the conversation started. And then once I upload this video to YouTube, I'll hang out for a couple hours and go back and forth and jump into those conversations with you guys.